Welcome everyone to Gamer Meld. Today I've got one of the biggest stories of the year, starting off with the 3060 already being sold. The 1050 Ti is coming back. GPU stock will get worse. Intel's 12th gen gets benchmarked, and details on AMD's next 3 Ryzen generations. Okay, it's news time, and first up for today, it looks like Nvidia's RTX 3060 is actually being sold weeks before release. For those who didn't see my recent video, I went over a story about a Reddit user getting a 3060, but that was because the store sold the 3060 Ti that they had already purchased. Well, apparently a retailer in Pakistan called ZAH Computers is full on selling the cards early, like now. The worst part here is that they're selling them for what's equivalent to $750 US. Remember that the MSRP is $329. Basically, demand is very clearly outstripping supply as both miners and gamers fight for the dwindling GPU stock. But first, if your daily routine is getting monotonous, why not spice it up with today's sponsor, Blinkist. The app that makes reading easy by taking thousands of non-fiction books and condensing them into short 15-minute snippets. This lets you easily slide knowledge into your daily routine. And the best part is that you have the option to either read it or listen like an audiobook. Plus, you get access to all of your books online, and they now offer full-length audiobooks up to 65% off for members. So don't wait. Join over 14 million users with Blinkist today, and the first 100 people who go to Blinkist.com/gamermeld get unlimited access for 1 week to try it out. You'll also get 25% off on the full membership after, so make sure to check that out today. And to further prove the first story, Tech City just did a video where he spoke with a retailer, and according to them, Nvidia is actually resupplying AIB partners with 1050 Ti GPUs. That's right, 4-year-old cards. According to the video, retailers haven't been able to purchase them for about 2 years, yet all of a sudden the cards are reappearing in 2021. Apparently it's to try and fill the demand for lower-end GPUs. And this story comes right after rumors that Nvidia would be resupplying RTX 2060s. I guess they had to go back even further to try and meet that ever-growing demand. Unfortunately, for anyone hoping to buy Nvidia's newest cards, if this next report is correct, it's only going to get worse. Originally reported by Tom's Hardware, the European retailer Alternate spoke with Nvidia concerning availability of their RTX 3000 cards. And according to them, Nvidia says it's going to get even more difficult throughout Q1. Of course, I don't get how it can get more unavailable than none, but apparently it will. Maybe gamers will owe Nvidia a 3000 card? I don't know. Okay, all jokes aside, I know cards have become available from time to time, but unless you live by F5, you probably won't get one. Well, apparently it won't be getting any better until at least next quarter. Next up, we're finally getting some real performance numbers on Intel's upcoming 10nm desktop CPUs. This time, a new benchmark for Intel's 16-core 24-thread Alder Lake CPU was spotted in Geekbench, and at least for now, it's looking pretty good. As you can see, the 16-core CPU comes with a base clock of 2.19 GHz and a boost of we have no clue. It says 27.2 GHz, but clearly that's incorrect. It's potentially a multiple of 8 or 10, so it's likely somewhere between 2.7 GHz or 3.4. Either way, even with the assumed low clocks, the upcoming CPU actually beat the average 10900K in multi-core performance by a little bit, but lost in single core by just a bit as well. But remember that some of those are slower cores in their big dot little style architecture design. At the end of the day, this is clearly a very early sample, and Geekbench likely doesn't know what to do with the cores. Still, with those two caveats in mind, it's looking to have some big potential. And speaking of potential, in today's final story, we have some huge information on AMD's next-gen CPUs. Actually, their next 3 generations of CPUs. The story originally comes from chipsandcheese.com, but before I get to it, I will say that while they claim to be pretty confident in their sources, they can't guarantee it. Of course, AMD is always working on their next generation of processors even before the current gen is released, so they almost certainly do know the performance or at least what they're aiming for. Still, keep that in mind. With that out of the way, let's get to it. Starting things off, Chips and Cheese goes over Zen 3 Plus, Zen 4, and Zen 5. Now, if you haven't heard of Zen 3 Plus, you aren't alone. It isn't in any of AMD's roadmaps, but it's meant to be a jumping off point until AMD launches Zen 4. I'm going to assume it's similar to AMD's Ryzen 3000 XT series. With that said, it looks to be far more significant. According to Chips and Cheese, it will be based on TSMC's N6 node, which isn't a big upgrade, but apparently it will offer between a 4 and 7% IPC increase. Nothing big, but it may actually be the first AM5 CPU, which is a big deal given AMD has been on AM4 for years now. They're also assuming it will include support for DDR5, but they aren't sure. The real thing here though is Zen 4, which I'm guessing will be AMD's Ryzen 6000 series of CPUs. Of course, the name is irrelevant, as the performance is the real kicker and Zen 4 is looking like a monster. According to their sources, Zen 4 is expected to receive an IPC increase of a whopping 25% with an overall performance gain of 40%. That's unbelievable. Apparently, an engineering sample of Genoa, which is AMD's Zen 4 based server chip, was 29% faster than Milan with the same cores and the same clocks. And that's just an engineering sample. Not only that, but they even heard that Zen 4 may finally bring an all-core overclock of 5 GHz thanks to TSMC's 5nm process. Basically, Zen 4 is set to be an absolute beast. Unfortunately, so far, rumors claim it won't be released until next year. Maybe that will move up with Intel's upcoming Alder Lake release, but I'm not sure. Lastly is Zen 5, but Chips and Cheese claims that this source comes from a less reliable source, so take this with a bit more salt. According to their source, AMD's Zen 5 will be roughly the same difference from pile driver to Zen 1, which was 40%. And a third source stated that AMD's design goal for Zen 5 is a 2.5 to 3 times IPC increase from Zen 1, which is around that 40%. Basically, AMD is only just getting started with their Zen architecture, and they have some giant updates coming soon. As always, make sure to subscribe to GamerMeld to find out all about those updates when they happen. So while that does it for today, are you excited for AMD's next gen CPUs, or are you just wanting to be able to buy their current gen CPU? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you liked the video, please subscribe, and as always, have a great day.